all have an important role to play in stopping the spread of COVID-19. We encourage you to take the necessary precautions to protect yourselves and families by always wearing a face mask, practicing social distancing, and washing or sanitizing your hands frequently. Welcome to InfoHub for Tuesday, August 25. Thank you for joining us as we highlight the work of the PPPC administration aimed at improving the quality of life of all Guyanese. We begin with a public advisory. The People's Progressive Party's civic government on Monday made a request for all former ministers of government, public officers, and employees of the state who have documents and other state properties in their possession to return same to the respective ministries, public corporations, agencies, and/or statutory bodies where they were or are currently employed. The public missive also requested from employees of government, public corporations, state agencies, or statutory bodies whose services have been expressly terminated and have been sent on administrative leave to also immediately present those documents and/or properties of the state, government, public corporations, state agencies, or statutory bodies to the accounting officers of the ministries, public corporations, agencies, and/or statutory bodies where they were previously employed or may be still employed. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony on Monday said the funding which has been set aside for the country's COVID-19 response covers all areas that need urgent intervention from the government. With millions of dollars pumped into the fight against the novel coronavirus, the PPPC government has assured that every effort will be made to slow the transmission of the pandemic here. President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, last week reported a $4.5 billion injection into the fight. The head of state also announced the mobilization of US $60 million from the World Bank, the OPEC Fund for International Development, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Islamic Development Bank. This is also in addition to another US $2 million grant from the government of India. Speaking with InfoHub on Monday, Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, shared how the funds will be utilized.
From that money, what we expect to utilize some of it to help to bring the at least a part of the Ocean View Hospital from the ministry in the Georgetown Hospital that is working to ensure that we can put at least 55 beds in there as an isolation facility. So the procurement of those items, we are currently utilizing some of the resources from that. We talk about getting an automated PCR machine. And so some of that funds, some of it we are utilizing right now to buy one of those machines. As you might know that these machines, they're like hotcakes, fire them. And so we have to be very quick in terms of putting in our order, getting the money out to them so that we can get this machine in a timely way. So that's some of the ways of how it has been utilized.
Dr. Anthony said the government is directing its efforts towards a socio-economic response, providing assistance to vulnerable populations and small businesses. Since taking office, the health minister has met with several donor agencies, international representatives, and local business owners to effectively tailor the COVID-19 response to being all-inclusive.
We have had very fruitful meetings with a number of agencies, a number of organizations. So, for example, with the UN family, we have met all of the organizations in the UN family, but we have been dealing in a more focused way with PAHO WHO. PAHO has been able to coordinate a number of the actions that we want to take resources from their head office in Washington. So, for example, when we needed training for lab technicians, they were able to bring those technical resources to bear. There are other things that we do. We do modeling projection of disease, how the spread would be, and they have epidemiologists that are working with us to be able to do those projections. So they bring in a lot of technical experts, also been serving as a kind of procurement hub for us. So we have identified a number of the things that we require, whether it's in terms of equipment, PPEs, or other things that we need to help us to better respond to the pandemic. And they have been able to acquire these things very rapidly.
While the country battles with the virus, the health minister reported the increased training for frontline workers. Dr. Anthony revealed that some 29 ventilators will soon be arriving in the country, with some destined for regional hospitals. These facilities will now have intensive care units, specifically for the treatment of severely ill persons who tested positive for COVID-19. With this service coming on stream, competent staff will be needed to operate the machines.
If we put the ventilators there, we want to ensure that the doctors are through the Georgetown Hospital to do training for the doctors who will be working in the ICU areas. And that training is for them to understand how to do proper ventilation, when to put patients on this ventilation, and how to use that piece of equipment. Because we intend that hospital, but we need to build that capacity in our regional hospitals. As I've told you before, we're expecting to have 29 ventilators coming in this week. And once we get those ventilators, when we deploy them to regional hospitals and so, we want to ensure that we have people there who understand how to operate these ventilators. So that's another form of training. Doctors in terms of treatment protocol.
The minister noted the importance of training for support staff to the ICUs, including nurses and other key healthcare personnel. He said community health workers are also being trained in infectious diseases prevention and control.
These are going to be continuous and ongoing training were adopted from the WHO because they have several modules that are online, and we have adapted them to suit our context. So that's going to be an ongoing training, and we are hoping that sector to understand these protocols and so forth.
The training models being utilized to improve Guyana's response to COVID-19 at the healthcare level was designed and approved by the World Health Organization. However, the Ministry of Health has extracted key components of the training, adopting it to fit the Guyana context, which will render it more relatable and effective. The training programs are available online. Minister of Education, the Honorable Priya Manikchand, has refuted claims that the PPPC government plans to cut the salaries of teachers and sweeper cleaners across Guyana. In a statement posted to her Facebook page, Minister Manikchand described the two voice notes being circulated on social media platforms as absolutely untrue. The minister stated that the voice notes, quote, mirror the mischief of voice notes crafted by the APNU AFC that were distributed during the elections, so most likely it is that kind of political mischief that is intended. I invite you to ignore and rubbish it, end quote. The Education Minister re-emphasized that the PPPC government is committed to, quote, delivering education equitably in safe spaces and to ensuring our teachers are adequately compensated, end quote. The minister called for all Guyanese to contribute to the development and safety of the nation's youths and teachers during this pandemic and to refrain from causing confusion. The new PPPC administration has inherited several issues that must be resolved as it relates to the allocation of house lots and ensuring the proper infrastructure is in place. This was revealed by a minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, the Honorable Susan Rodriguez, during an interview with InfoHub.
Well, housing, as you know, generally, we committed to creating 50,000 house lots in our manifesto. We have some challenges here at the ministry where we saw there was mass distribution of house lots. So persons received letters saying that they were allocated house lots in certain areas. The difficulty we have is that those areas that persons were allocated, most of the areas have no infrastructure, or they lack even basic infrastructure. So the reality is that that lot or those lots do not exist as we speak here.
The Housing Ministry will now have to embark on massive infrastructural works to transform those plots of land into house lots.
And that's what's adding to the backlog in the system as well. So persons are under the impression that they have this house lot allocation, but in reality, they can't go and point out that lot because it doesn't exist. So we have to start basic infrastructure, road, water, electricity, and start to even create the access to those plots of land. They're just plots of land.
Like senior citizens, youths also can look forward to affordable services offered by the Housing and Water Ministry. Minister Rodriguez explained.
Young people are a priority for us. So we definitely want to promote home ownership among young professionals. And so we're currently trying to extract a list from those who have applied to give priority to the young persons, young professionals who can afford to acquire a loan. We want to enter into discussions with them and the banks and the commercial banks to ensure that they can access financing so that they can own their own homes, start a family and start a life.
Speaking specifically to water, The minister reminded that very shortly, government will reduce value-added tax from some of the services offered to citizens.
We made a few promises in our manifesto in relation to the housing and water sector. Now, as it relates to water specifically, we made certain commitments, like removing the VAT on water. That's one of the first things that will be addressed very shortly, as well as reinstating the subsidy to pensioners. We want to make sure that water rates remain affordable, so we're not going to encourage any increases or anything in that sector. Apart from that, there are certain things that we have to do internally to ensure the delivery of water, the distribution of water, such as reducing loss in the system and so on. So there are some technical things that we have to do as well at GWI.
Minister Rodriguez said her sector is currently focusing on areas which do not benefit from potable water.
You will see that I recently did a visit to Luston Ross, which is an area that was without water for more than a year, I believe, perhaps 2 years. So we're trying to go through the list and identify those places that are not served, those areas that are not served. Like I said before, we're trying to reduce loss in the system as well. And a lot of the transmission lines in Georgetown, because you specifically asked about Region 4, a lot of the transmission lines in the city is very old. The infrastructure is very old. That would require some major investment. We are committed to that, to restoring a lot of those transmission lines, but of course we're still waiting on the budget to pass, and so that may be more long-term, starting next year. But it is a priority for us because we have to make sure that every citizen has access to potable water.
For InfoHub, I am Kellon Rover.
Meanwhile, for the first time in decades, 42 families living along the Conservancy Dam at Canal Number One, West Bank, Demerara, will have access to potable water and electricity.
A visit 2 weeks ago by President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, to the Canal Number One community prompted another meeting on Tuesday with residents, this time with Minister of Housing and Water, the Honorable Colin Crowell, and Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, the Honorable Gov't Indar. During the meeting with the head of state, residents had raised concerns over the struggles they have been facing with the lack of electricity and running water. Minister Crowell gives some good news today.
I am pleased to inform you that commencing next week, we GWI in-house, because we're now finalizing budgetary resources, but in-house, with assistance of machinery from the contractor who has volunteered his machinery, we will start connection to households along the Conservancy starting next week.
The project will see the entire community of just over 42 families benefiting.
With starting next week and within a completion period of a month, we will have connection to 42 households going along the line, every single one. We've decided we're going that route. We were initially thinking of the standpipe method, but we will nevertheless still go to the connection of 42 houses along the line to be completed within the next month. And that is to deal with the cluster as a startup. And so GWI, on behalf of the government of Guyana, I can commit as a result of the visit from our President, His Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali, that we will start that work next week.
Similarly, the Guyana Power and Light will next week commence the installation of electricity to those homes. The company is currently doing designs beyond the existing network along the Conservancy Dam. The minister has also addressed issues related to house lot allocation and streetlights, among others. For InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
The European Union Ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Fernando Pons Canto, has reiterated his commitment to strengthening ties with Guyana. Ambassador Pons Canto paid a courtesy call to Minister of Public Affairs within the Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Kwame McCoy, at his Colgrain House, Camp Street office. The ambassador congratulated Minister McCoy on his new portfolio and promised continuous support. He highlighted that the discussion today was very useful and the European Union will continue to work with Guyana so that both parties can benefit from a long-standing partnership. Minister McCoy said that he expects great things and that they will work together on programs that will benefit Guyanese as well as better those workers in the communication and information fields. More news is after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The government of Guyana, through His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, has approved $350 million to support the cash-strapped Guyana Forestry Commission to pay salaries to staff and utility services. The new administration is currently saddled with this burden due to the mismanagement of the sector under the previous administration. Minister of Natural Resources, the Honorable Vikram Bharat, during his engagement with the staff of the Commission, committed to seeking the President's intervention to obtain financial support for the agency, which has been struggling to pay staff on time and fund other critical operational costs for several months. Additionally, it must be noted that workers have not been paid their $25,000 bonus in 2018, which was announced and not honored by the previous administration. Hence, the current government is committed to paying this outstanding bonus to all eligible staff before the end of 2020. Meanwhile, Minister Bharat has already commenced discussions with the Commission and other stakeholders within the forest sector to examine strategies to enhance the financial performance and management capabilities of this very important sector. Minister of Public Service, the Honorable Sonia Parag, during a virtual press conference on Monday, revealed that the Ministry of Public Service will be implementing a code of conduct and a code of ethics to enhance the level of professionalism among the country's public servants.
The Public Service Ministry is committed, under my command, to fostering a professional public service instilled with and committed to culture of excellence by driving change and innovation, facilitating continuous professional development, implementing administrative reforms, creating conditions for a conducive work environments, promoting and maintaining ethics and accountability in the functioning of government agencies delivering service to the public.
Minister Parag explained that the plan is to have a professional public service.
The thing is, we will implement a code of ethics and a code of conduct. Not only will we do that, but we will also do a periodic evaluation on public servants that will tell us their level of performance in their job description. It will allow us to be able to inform them where they are lapsing. And also, of course, the Code of Ethics and Code of Conduct will allow them to interact or interface with the public in such a way that the public will walk away feeling like they've just been professionally dealt with.
The minister noted that a code of conduct and code of ethics must be enforced and implemented to have the desired results. She explained that the ministry is currently examining training programs to help support this goal.
We have a few programs that with customer interfacing that I think is key in the public service. I think those training very relevant, and I will definitely support that training. But I have to also see where else, and I will consult with the head of department for the training in moving forward.
Let's tell you now that the University of Guyana entrance examination will be conducted online for the 2020-2021 academic year. The examination is scheduled to be held from September 14, 2020 to September 18, 2020. Tutorials for subject areas will be offered online from August 31, 2020 to September 4, 2020 for applicants to both the Turkine and Tain campuses, irrespective of their geographical location. This examination targets applicants who do not have the general UG admission requirements for entry. The examination and tutorials will be conducted via Moodle, the learning management system of the University of Guyana. Further details can be found on our website dpi.gov.gy or on our social media page. The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development will be collaborating with the Mayor of Georgetown, His Worship Ubraj Narain, to improve the livelihood of our capital city.
During an interview on Kaito Radio, the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Honorable Nigel Dharamlal, indicated that the betterment of Georgetown will not be halted by any political motive.
Georgetown has been affected tremendously by massive irregularities, whether in management, whether in the financial aspects of it. But Georgetown is in dire straits. And in our first cabinet meeting, the president himself, Dr. Irfan Ali, has mandated us in the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development to put together an interministerial task force, including the ministers of Public Works, Agriculture, for us to come up with a plan to get Georgetown into a state that we are all proud of as citizens of Guyana. Georgetown has a lot of history, and we will not allow the politics of any individual or any party to separate us from development in Georgetown.
Only in office for a mere 2 weeks, Minister Dharamlal stated that the development of some areas has already begun under his leadership.
We also intend to have some role in having the City Hall reconstructed. City Hall is one of our pristine buildings in Georgetown, and we have to get it to a state that we can all, be proud of. We'll have to make sure that resources are available and properly managed. Part of us providing this impetus is to ensure that there is sustainable management thereafter. So we cannot continue, government cannot continue to dole out billions of dollars into the city and it is mismanaged. So the city will also have to come up with a sustainability plan in terms of operational sustainability as well as financial sustainability.
Minister Dharamlal noted that Georgetown's deterioration stemmed from poor leadership. He further expressed the People's Progressive Party's civic government's commitment in ensuring the betterment of the city. For InfoHub, Gavin Lewis.
Remember to do your part to ensure you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early, but call the hotline first. That's all for today. Connect with us on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and visit our website dpi.gov.gy as we bring you the latest and important news on what the government is doing to ensure the continued development of our country. Your bridge reports are up next. Goodbye for now.